G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to cover everything you missed from DreamHack day one, and man, what a day of competitive it was. We had Arab qualifying without using guns, kind of. We had Benji and Savage absolutely popping off. We have Clicks and Day back together, and also it was our first time to see competitive duos in quite a while, which has sparked this conversation of, should duos be the next competitive game mode? I don't know about you guys, I love trios, but I'm getting a little bit over it, and I think if we had to spice it up and add a new competitive game mode, I think it would have to be duos, or at least that's what I believe for a few reasons I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Also, we had the news which a few people have seen coming and it's not 100% confirmed yet, but we had Reverse2k tweet out that he is going to be quitting after this competitive season. I want to talk a little bit about Reverse2k as well, because I think it's an interesting situation how someone can be one of the best players in the world, unarguably one of the best, and just completely falling out of love with competitive Fortnite. So, what's going on with Reverse2k? I mean, I pretty much summed up most of it there. It was just Reverse2k did tweet out, I am definitely quitting after this season. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, that's got to be an impression farm, it's got to be a troll, but I don't think it is. If you've watched any Reverse2k streams recently, I love that Reverse2k is very open and very candid with his audience. It's why he has such a strong community for a pro. He's been talking a lot about how he's just a bit lost with gaming in general. He's good at Fortnite and he competes at Fortnite, but he doesn't really love it like he used to. He finds himself playing a lot of other games on stream like Apex Legends, and despite doing so well, he's just not enjoying it, which I think is a crazy concept, right? Like, he's gone from someone who's been competing since before World Cup and absolutely dominating and going to World Cup. Didn't do too insanely at World Cup, but still going is a ridiculous achievement, and has now since won 2 of the last 3 FNCSs and still just doesn't want to compete. And based on this tweet, I genuinely believe it. I was talking about it on stream today. A lot of people saying, oh, he'll do well in this FNCS. He'll turn around, he'll get motivated, and he'll come back. But I mean, he won last FNCS. He's going into this season as the champ, the 2 times champ in first place. There's no real better way to go into a season. And in my opinion, this is a really good competitive season. And from everything I've heard from Reverse2k and when I've talked to him on stream, because I love his opinion on this, why aren't you enjoying the game? Most of the response I've got is just, it's not the meta, because this meta right now, I think most pros agree, is super competitive. It's really, really good. Last season has as well. It's just the competitive scene in general. And maybe that's something that applies to Reverse2k specifically, because he has somehow won 2 of the last 3 FNCSs and kids are still saying he's been carried. Like, how? That's just, if you believe that someone can get carried to an FNCS championship, then that means you think that Fortnite esports is a joke. It's that simple. If you think someone can win on NA East or EU, one of the 2 best regions in the world, or any region, if you think they can win that and get carried, then you don't respect competitive Fortnite enough, which I just think is a bit of a joke. Reverse2k is one of the best players in the world, and if he quits right now, he'll be quitting as one of the best players in the world. It is rough for Reverse2k as well. Obviously, it seems like he's doubted at times by his own teammates. Damir and Reverse did split up with him at the start of the season, got back together with him. That's probably had a big strain on his mental. That's not a great feeling. Despite Day and Miro having very good reasons why they wanted to split up and saying it wasn't to do with Reverse2k's skill, it was just their playstyle was very solo orientated and they did well by kind of clutching up as a duo or as a solo. Again, a lot of people interpret that as them saying that Miro and Day were clutching up a lot as a duo, but they meant just them in general. One of them seems to always die before endgame, or both of them, and it relies on them having good solo skills to make it through, and they weren't confident going into this FNCS playing like that. So even though they had very good reasons, which I think were very fair, if you go back and watch a lot of their games from the last 2 seasons they've done well, a lot of it does come on the back of solo clutches. You guys can remember Miro taking high ground as a solo and dominating. That's not going to be able to happen too often in FNCS final, but you can see how that on top of the community doubting Reverse2k probably is just, it's gotten a bit over it. And I think a lot of people, I find it very, very respectable to quit while you're ahead. If you stop enjoying it, don't keep going until you start doing bad. If you're doing well and you're just not enjoying it though, it's okay to step away. Take that confidence into another game. I could see Reverse2k having an incredibly healthy career in almost any other esport. He's clearly a natural gaming talent and he's still quite young. He's older for the Fortnite scene, but nowhere near old by the means of like CSGO, Valorant, even Apex. affects a lot of the games that have older pros. So I'd be super sad to see Reverse2k go, but I think a lot of people are taking this the wrong way, and all I want at this point is to see Reverse2k happy. I've seen some of the streams, my man seems down, and I know this is gonna like kind of obviously get people going a little bit crazy, and Reverse2k is always very honest with his opinion, so I'm guessing he's not gonna worry too much about what the community says. But I think it also comes down to just, as a Fortnite community, people need to ease up a little bit on their criticisms or just their opinion in general without paying too much attention to the scene. I know it comes from a lot of kids who just watch Reverse2k and think, oh, he's not quad edit full boxing 200 pumping a kid, he's terrible, he got carried, without actually understanding how pivotal a role that Reverse2k plays in trios. So I don't know if Reverse will actually quit. Maybe he will stick around, and I hope he does, but if he does leave, I have a lot of respect for Reverse2k, and I had to put it on record that he is one of the best players in the world, and if people disagree with you, they're just not paying attention to competitive Fortnite. All right, let's move on to DreamHack news. What's going on with DreamHack? If you guys didn't know, EU has 3 heats. 2 of them have taken place today. 1 will take place tomorrow or today by the time you watch this video. NA has 2 heats. Both of them took place today, and semifinals is happening tomorrow or today by the time you watch this video. I will be doing a viewing party for the semifinals on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics for NA East. I won't be watching EU. It's a little bit early, and the way the system works, if you weren't paying attention, was the top 500 teams from each heat go through into the semifinals. But once you qualify from one heat, you're not allowed to play the next. So if you heat 3, EU, for example, has already got the top 1,000 duos already qualified. So the game quality will be good, but I'm not waking up at 1 a.m. for it, unfortunately. But a lot of the big names qualified. Pretty much every big name you'd expect to qualify out of EU and NA have. Some teams did better than others. We had Benji and Savage coming 3rd, absolutely dominating. Mongrel with his new teammate Swilliam. If you guys haven't been paying attention, Swilliam is a player who came from Asia to now play on EU, just having like a meteoric rise to fame right now. Was insane on Asia. No one's gonna say he's not, but obviously when you get to EU and NA, that's where the big names are. That's where you get the big attention, and that's what he's doing. A 42nd place with Mongrel definitely gets attention. We had clicks back with Day. There was a lot of really, really good performances across the board. I'm not gonna go into too much detail on the leaderboards because it was opens, you know, like there's not that much to go off, but there was some exciting things to talk about, one of which was Arab. Again, obviously you guys know, one of the competitive goats, kind of not taking the game as seriously now, but always up for making some content. Arab and KNG builds got together and they tried to qualify without guns. And I'm not talking doing like a cray heal off strategy, sitting on the edge of the map. No, I'm talking like Bizzle style from World Cup, rotating into endgame, trying to just avoid people and rotate, and they popped off. I'm gonna show you a clip from when KNG builds managed to actually win a game as a solo without weapons.
None. I got killed. Really? Yeah. Check in storm behind you. Check in storm behind you. In storm behind you. Truck cannon. Truck cannon. Fine. Under you. You can grab the extra mats from them in that metal. It's 1v1v1. It's 1v1v1. You have 2 builds. Let them fight. Let them fight. Break it out. Break it out. Pay attention. No, go easy. Go easy. He's not gonna spray you. Let's go!
No way! Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this was so much fun to watch. Again, they're rotating the end game with fireflies and cows and meds. Trying to get to like maybe a top 5 or a top 10 would still be incredibly difficult, but getting a win, having to survive until a heal off on a water zone and pickaxe the second last guy, I love this. This put Arab's team at over 300 points. They needed about 50 or 60 in their last game to qualify. They knew it was going to be the last game of the tournament, so they had to opt to use guns. That's why I said kind of. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, you didn't qualify without guns, that's clickbait. Unless you're doing the cray strat, it is impossible to win a game in the last game going in with Storm Surge, because you can't out heal it. You can't get enough damage to obviously get your Storm Surge, and you can't out heal it, so you're just going to lose. So Arab opted to use guns, but I find it so impressive. After 2 heats, they played heat 1 and heat 2 of NA, so they played roughly almost 20 games without guns. They step up their first game with guns, and they managed to do this.
Alright, well. Knock one. They died. Arm back. Careful, on you. Truck cannon, 2 truck cannons. To the kid behind you, he's gonna grab him. In zone. Get the truck cannons. There's so many builds. It's 1v2. I think we qualified. You win this build.
We fought after this.
I won
Did we qual?
We quad, baby.
Did we qual?
I think we quad.
Yo, tell me
There's
we
no
just
way.
qualled with no
Arab,
guns,
we're
bro.
so good.
Bro,
Arab, we're
tell me
so
we just
good.
qualled with no guns, bro.
Arab, we're
Tell
so
me
good.
you're lying, bro.
I'm checking.
No way, bro. There's no way we just
We
qualled.
did.
Did we actually, bro?
Yes, top 500 is 358.
There's no way we qualled with no guns.
They finished on 374 points, getting 12 more points they needed to qualify. And again, I know kids are going to try and take it away. Oh, you use guns, but leaving it up to your last game to get a second place is ridiculous. And again, give it to Arab to somehow make opens feel like some of the most intense games ever. It was just really, really fun to see, and I wanted to make sure I included it in my video. I'm sure Arab's going to have a video out on his channel somewhere, maybe in a few days. I asked him to make sure he was cool with me using the clips, so make sure you check out the full video when it comes out, because there was a whole bunch of amazing clips. DreamHack has always been one of my favorite tournaments. We haven't even hit semifinals or finals yet, and I'm enjoying it so much. And I think a big part of that is its duos. Duos has always been, and I think always will be, my favorite competitive game mode for a few reasons, and I wanted to discuss them. Firstly, the fact that it doesn't have this massive entry gate on who can play, right? Trios, to find two good teammates that are at your level, that want to grind, that can play tournaments, that can play scrims, it's really difficult, especially at an entry level pro. If you play solos though, yes, it's good to get your name out there, but I've talked in the past in videos about why I don't like solos. There's a whole bunch of issues of cheating, collusion, drop splitting. It's where all the drama is. There's just a lot of RNG. You can be the best player in the world, but you get headshot sniped 2 games and your tournament's ruined. I think duos is the perfect combination of not having the RNG of solos, but then not having to find 2 good teammates compared to just finding 1. Most of you know 1 good player or 1 good pro who you could play with, that you could grind together with, improve, work on your chemistry. You only have to get along with 1 player. It just makes things so much simpler. Second off, I just find it more enjoyable from a communication and team play level. It's you and one other. It's you and your partner. It's you and them. It's like, it's just, it has that cool chemistry and that awesome dynamic. And lastly, loot. I think trios could continue to be the best competitive game mode, or I could argue that it would be if the actual map catered towards trios. That means 100% chest spawn and more POIs, at least 4 or 5 more POIs. I don't like that no matter how good you are, no matter how much potential you have, if you don't have an uncontested drop, you are not winning FNCS. Henjanis and Chapix have proved that. It does not matter. You can be absolute gods. If you are contested in FNCS finals in trios, you are not doing well, or at least you're not winning. It depends what your definition of well is. Henjanis and Chapix not getting top 3 was not doing well by their standards, especially after being top 3 after day 1 contested. It's too hard. You can't consistently win enough on spawn. I don't like this whole, if you're the better team, just beat them. That's not how competitive Fortnite works. It's just not. There's too much RNG in the game. There's too many loot constraints. If one team has an uncontested drop, they're gonna do better than a team with a contested drop. And that's why teams who have the reputation or have the means to get an uncontested drop every season always do phenomenal and stay consistently good, which is a good sign towards competitive Fortnite. But I like the best team on the day to do the best. I don't like a lot of factors before the game starts coming into it. That's why Mythic drops, as much as I liked Mythics in the game for a bit of fun, always annoyed me, because whoever had the Mythic POI would do well. Every time we talked about who's going to do well during Stark season, it was just a conversation between who's dropping Stark and who's dropping Dooms and which one's better. You didn't even talk about the players that much. You just talked about drop spots, and I don't like that. So I genuinely think duos is the best competitive game mode for me, but I also think I've loved trios. I absolutely love that Epic did a consistent game mode so people can find teammates, they can stick to teammates, we can build up these storylines season after season, you know, we can have that consistency. But I'm ready for some change. I think after next season's trios, I would be pretty happy to see it switch to duos for at least a few seasons. A lot of people like to alternate the game modes, and I get that. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it interesting. But from a competitive standpoint, I like having teams know what's coming, sticking together and building the storylines, right? Like this FNCS, we have Centered Edgy Commandment, 3 times second place against Daymure and Reverse, 2 times winner, 1 time top 5. You know what I mean? Like those storylines are there. If you keep switching the game modes, not only do you lose those storylines, you also lose the consistency of teammates, and teams will always split and change. And if it goes from trios to duos, 2 of those players stay together and then 1 solo has to go find a duo partner, it just gets a bit annoying. But overall, I like duos. If I had to rank my competitive like tier list as far as game modes for me, it would have to be duos, trios, squads, solos. I don't like squads because it's just too chaotic, and again, there's even less loot, so it's even more drama. Duos, you can just take different loot routes. You can find so many different loot routes for duos. So if you guys don't agree, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, just giving my opinion on this one. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.